Hello, everyone, and welcome live to tonight's broadcast of the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. It is championship night here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I am Peter Shorten, alongside me, as he has been for most of the season, and back in the booth. Great to have you back, Andre. Hope the grandmother is A-OK. But here we go, mile and a half. It is really the home of stock car racing nowadays, the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we have a great race in store for us here tonight.
Oh yeah, Charlotte is definitely a fun mile and a half. I know a lot of people don't like the mile and a half tracks, but I've always been pretty partial to them, and this one in particular, with 3 and 4 being the way that they are, and 1 and 2 being a little bit different, puts on a good show, especially with these NSRA trucks. They just drive a little bit different from the stock car and the Xfinity car, so definitely gonna be a fun time. So far, 12 cars have posted a practice lap, but Peter, it's gonna be, I believe, 4 drivers fighting for the championship.
Yeah, one of those drivers is right here on your screen right now, Scott Crump in the number 8 Toyota, who has been very fast all season long, but hasn't probably picked up as many wins as he would like. It would be the icing on the cake if he were to come out and win here tonight. So he is one of the championship 4 that we'll have to keep an eye on here tonight. Also, we got Tristan Thuggy Maher currently sitting on pit road. He is one of our championship drivers. The number 99 machine of Philip Scott is another one. Philip Scott, well, I don't know where he is, but he's not in his pit stall, but the number 99 is one of those. And Vincent Valvano, currently 10th on the speed charts, but is our 4th and final championship driver here tonight. So we got to keep an eye on Crump, Maher, Scott, and Valvano here tonight. The highest placed driver, Andre, is going to be the driver who walks away with the series championship.
And I feel like that's a pretty fitting way to end this season, because we've talked race after race about how important it is just to be there at the end. We've seen drivers just dominate races, and then right at the end, something goes wrong. They finish further down the running order. Like you mentioned, Scott Crump has been dominant this season, but he hasn't got the finishes you would expect, because while he's always up front, he doesn't necessarily finish there. So this race is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be about outright pace. It's not going to be about being the fastest guy on the track. It's going to be about playing it smart, making sure you keep the 4 wheels underneath you don't mess up any pit stops, and that you just play the consistency game. And obviously, stock car racing is always going to be a bit of a consistency game, but more so now tonight than any other time.
Yeah, it's going to be important that these drivers come out of here with a solid finish, and if you want to be champion, I think you're going to have to end up in victory lane, and you might have to beat Scott Crump to do it as the number 8 machine comes down onto pit road, getting a little bit of pit road practice. It's not an easy pit road to get onto. That wall comes up in a hurry, and that's what Scott Crump doing a great job there getting onto pit road. There's the number 3 of Jason Shue currently out there on the racetrack. Matt Cherry in the number 51, the Max Pappas Industries Chevrolet. Great to see him back. Hasn't been around last couple of weeks, but he's come back for championship night as he gets a little bit loose through turn number 4. Good save there by Matt Cherry, getting that truck underneath him. And here's William Ratcliffe, who is not necessarily making his debut here tonight, but doesn't have a whole lot of starts here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, but great to see him on the scoring charts here tonight. We are moving over into the qualifying session, folks. We'll let the first few trucks roll out onto the racetrack, and the first one to do so is one of our championship contenders. Here comes Tristan Thuggy Maher in the number 17 Eclipse Photography F-150. Has several wins to his name this season, and I know, Andre, that number 17 is always a contender up at the front of the field.
Definitely been one of the fastest trucks all year long, and he's had some bad luck. You know, his finishes that have been subpar haven't really been his fault. I mean, just thinking back a couple weeks ago, he got involved in a wreck that was pretty much not his own creating, and then not long after that, I think on the pace laps, his steering wheel shut off, and the car just shot down to the inside wall, and it's pretty much night over at that point. So maybe he's got to have that lucky penny on the dashboard of the golden horseshoe, because, oh no, we don't want to see that later tonight.
Yeah, he's going to have to find that lucky horseshoe in the race, because it doesn't look like he's got it here in qualifying. That number 17, he might have another shot to go out there and get a good lap in, but we think lap number 2 is going to be the money lap for most of these drivers. We'll see whether or not that is true or not. But here is Jimbo Casterline, the number 18 out there on the racetrack right now, the Ford F-150, working his way through turn number 1 and 2 here. And Jimbo, of course, big sponsor of the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Got Stay Tuned Sports on his truck. He is Mr. Stay Tuned Sports himself. As if you're looking at the scoreboard, though, on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see that Matt Cherry is the first driver to put a lap time down. Got Philip Scott out there on the racetrack, another one of our series contenders. Tristan Maher's jumped into the backup truck, Andre, and he's going to try and get another lap in. Vincent Valvano, one of our championship contenders, jumping to second on the board. But I'm not seeing a whole lot of lap times here kind of jump in a hurry, Andre. We still have 2 minutes and 50 seconds left here, but still plenty of time for these drivers to put up a good lap time like Philip Scott. Let's see what he does here as he goes out, I think, on his first time lap here.
So his first time lap is going to be third on the pylon so far, but you're exactly right with what you said earlier. The second lap is going to be the money lap because these trucks on fresh tires are pretty much wide open here at Charlotte for a few laps. So that means qualifying is a little bit like Daytona or Talladega, where the first lap is just building up momentum, maybe running a higher line to build up that top speed, get the gears revved up. And then on the second lap, you migrate down to the bottom. You keep it as tight and as close to that line as possible while maintaining that speed that you built up previously. And for Philip Scott, it's enough speed to be on the provisional pole, the 30.24. This is obviously kind of proving our point here. That second lap, vastly improving, nearly 2/10. And here comes Casterline for his second lap. His first lap putting him fourth on the board, 0.31. And we had somebody else on the board there. I think that was Bilson jumping up to fifth.
Got Paul Bilson here going to complete his second lap. 00 machine. He jumps to the inside of row number 2 provisionally. So good run for Paul. Let's check on Scott Crump. He's coming around to complete his first qualifying lap. Still got 1 extra lap in the bag. We'll see what he can do for his... Actually, no. I think this was the end of his first time lap. There you go. Second on the board behind Philip Scott. We'll see what he can do, see if he can pick that up. If he can pick it up just 100th of a second, Andre, we'll have a new provisional pole sitter because Scott Crump is absolutely flying in that Toyota Tundra like we have seen multiple times this season. We called him Rocket Man. Got the pole multiple weeks, but he's a little bit up the racetrack here. Well, no, you know what? He's going to come down pit road and almost lost the back end. So it looks like Scott Crump not going to be pole sitting here tonight. Number 49 of Mitchell Adams in his Chevy Silverado. Hey, he jumps to the top of the board. Look at that. Leaves it late. And former series champion here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, Mitchell Adams, possibly looking at the pole. Tristan Maher did get back out onto the racetrack. And, folks, don't adjust your TV sets. Tristan Maher, 2 minutes and 5 seconds off the pace. You don't hear that very often. Maher going to have to come from the back if he wants to walk away with the championship here tonight. Jason Shue and Garrett Gleason, the only other 2 trucks left to put a lap time in. But, Andre, they don't have any time left as qualifying wraps up.
2 minutes and 5 seconds off the pace wouldn't be so bad at the Nürburgring. Unfortunately, we're in Charlotte where the lap times are 30 seconds or so. So not a great starting position, but with the sort of reduced field, not too many trucks he's got to race up through. So that's a little bit of consolation to him. But qualifying has officially concluded, and it is going to be Adams in that 49. Started late, got the pole, never looked back. So quite the move there. And Crump going to have to try to work his way around a few fast drivers. On the pole, Mitchell Adams right alongside Philip Scott. Scott Crump's going to be P3 alongside Matt Cherry. 5th place goes to Paul Bilson with 6th place Vinny Valvano. Jimbo Casterline going to be qualifying P7. He's next to P8, Stephen Lashinsky. William Ratcliffe in the 95 is starting at P9. And 10th goes to Johnny Williams. Running out the rest of the field, we've got Tristan Maher, 2 minutes and 5 seconds off the pace, but first in our hearts, and he's going to be P11, with P12 being Jason Shue and Garrett Gleason in 13th.
Yeah, so 13 drivers, maybe lucky number 13 for Mr. Garrett Gleason starting shotgun on the field. Well, Garrett's going to need a lot of luck because, he's Garrett Gleason. Meanwhile, the field is now rolling. You see the trucks kind of getting up to speed one by one. here on the front stretch. Here comes Paul Bilson finally finding the gears in his Chevy Silverado. Maybe took him a little bit of time to get it fired up, but we'll get one full pace lap here, and we'll send them racing this time by, as iRacing doesn't have an extended kind of pace lap, as some of these drivers in the back might be just trying to get a little bit of heat in their tires, Andre, because they're able to kind of go through turns number 1 and 2 at pace. Did I see someone go off the racetrack there? I thought I did.
There is a car on pit road.
Yeah,
it's the 9.
See if something might have happened here, just very briefly, to the number 9 of Steven Lashinsky. We'll see if we can. He's kind of coming through turn number 2 here. I don't want to miss the green flag, and oh, I don't know what happened there. Oh, got into the inside wall as well. But meanwhile, we are back live, just double checking. Yes, we are back live. Didn't miss anything. So Steven Lashinsky already having problems. Not sure if he shifted down maybe too fast, Andre. Maybe shifted into the wrong gear. But it might be night done before the green flag for the number 9. As the number 49 is going to lead us to the green flag with the number 99 to his outside. We're racing here at Charlotte.
Philip Scott got a phenomenal start on the outside. It's I don't think that was a matter of predicting, as it was just he kind of guessed at it, and it worked out because he's able to stay side by side with the 49, which just doesn't happen for the outside pole sitter very frequently. He does have a lot of help from that 19 truck behind him. I'm sorry, the 51 of Matt Cherry. A little bit of a scuffle further back in the field as the 17. Am I seeing that right? Is that right side damage?
Yeah, the number 17 pancaked the wall on the backstretch, and not sure if someone might have helped him. Here he comes to the outside of Paul Bilson. Bilson just kind of comes up the racetrack, puts the number 17 in the wall. So already problems for one of our championship contenders.
I would not want to be Paul Bilson's spotter. That's not a good situation to be in. Having Bilson come up and just kind of run the championship contender right into the... I mean, there was a little bit of net code, but that contact was going to happen either way. Now, of course, I don't think Bilson did that intentionally. I think it was just an issue of awareness, and unfortunately for the 17, he got some damage out of that, and worse than that, he got held up a lot. He is currently sitting about 5 seconds back after just 3 laps, which is kind of a difficult gap to make up. But we got more drivers in the wall. Third place, Matt Cherry is going to put up a smoke show down the back straightaway with his right side up against the safer barrier. Somehow, not losing much time to Philip Scott, despite that, pretty much staying on the tailgate of that 99 World Ninja League machine. And while these guys are duking it out, Adams in the 49 says, you guys keep doing that. I'm going to drive away to half a second lead, maybe more, only 4 laps in, but the battle for second heating up. I think the 51 might be a little bit quicker on these fresh tires, but getting around them is going to be one thing. I think passing at Charlotte is a bit of a waiting game, and by that I mean you wait for the top line to come in. You lay rubber down up there, it becomes more viable. It does become a 2-lane racetrack, but here at the start of the race, it's pretty much 1 lane, and that's going to make passing difficult.
Yeah, that will make passing a little bit tricky. Now, just looking up and down the scoring pylon, you might notice that it has not been a great start of the race for Scott Crump in the number 8 Stay Tuned Sports Toyota Tundra. Just keeping our eyes on Scott. There is a stage caution coming out around lap number 20, so maybe this is a little bit surprising, Andre. But, you know, another thing I'm thinking about is Scott Crump might be running this race backwards. He might be trying to save this set of tires. He knows lap number 20 is relatively early to burn a set of tires, and he might try and push this set of tires a little bit further into the race than some. As right behind him, some good racing. William Ratcliffe, Jason Shue, and behind him, Garrett Gleason and Jimbo Casterline side by side. So we are side by side back here. Steven Lashinsky did not return to the racetrack, so I'm not sure. Maybe he blew the motor before he even got going here tonight. But this is a great group of drivers duking it out up at the front. You're not missing anything. William Ratcliffe there smacking the turn 4 wall.
Peter, I'm a little bit baffled. I'm looking at the timing and scoring. From Maher on back, all of the drivers in this pack are losing over a second a lap to our leader. There is no way that difference in pace comes purely from the damage on that 17. It's not like he's holding everybody up that much. So I'm wondering if you're not right. You said that maybe they're just trying to save the set of tires, don't take anything on the stage. That could be the case, because I just don't see any natural way they're losing a second and a half per lap. I mean, look at the gap now from Maher on back. It's 11 seconds, although two drivers did get around him. We'll see if they pull away. That might be indicative if Maher really was holding them up, but I don't see that being the case.
Yeah, just looking at that track map, bottom right-hand corner of the screen, as, Garrett Gleason, holy smokes, the number 17, Coleman's Care. Garrett, you need to take care of that number 7 Chevy Silverados. He got really loose there coming out of turn number 4. Great save from Garrett. Don't often say that, but G-Money keeping it underneath him, at least for right now. Let's go check out the 3Y TV chat. We've got Johnny Williams, Adam Dama in the chat here tonight. Johnny out there on the racetrack, and of course Adam Damas, I think he was away with his girlfriend this weekend, so I know we usually have Adam's girlfriend here in the 3Y TV chat, so just want to give a big shout out to both of you. Not missing anything up at the front of the field, halfway this time by to the stage caution, and Mitchell Adams, we kind of talked about going easy. Well, Andre, right now, Scott Crump, the number 8 machine, is about a half of a lap down to our race leader. We're only halfway through the stage, and you're a half of a lap down, and you just have to think that you don't really want to be in the hornet's nest for, really at any point of the race. I mean, we've already seen what's happened to Tristan Thuggy Maher in the number 17 when he pancaked the wall. But both the 17 and the number 8 taking it very easy and currently being scored about a half a lap behind this driver right here, Mitchell Adams.
Matt Cherry's in the pits. What is happening there? The 51, he was running third. He was battling for second. He's going to come down, split the stage in half. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to escape going a lap down here with this pit stop, but take a look at a 3Y TV replay, see if anything happened prior to this pit stop or if it was potentially planned. The 51 truck nonetheless throwing us for a bit of a loop here. I did not predict anybody coming down pit road here on lap 11.
Yeah, just kind of, watching the number 51. Everything looks all good. I know we saw him scrape the wall. I don't see any damage. Just decided to come down.
To me, Peter.
Yeah, came down onto pit road and has gotten out of the number 51 truck. So maybe feeling a little bit under the weather or something else has come up, I've been in the middle of a race and all of a sudden heard hooting and hollering in the background and I had to jump off from the race. I've had to do that before. Life comes first. And unfortunately for us, we really don't make big bucks like the real drivers. So, other things come first. But speaking of first, Mitchell Adams is coming first right now because we just completed lap number 13, working lap number 14. Mitchell Adams, really nothing to lose here tonight, nothing really to gain. He's missed a couple of races so far this year. Not one of our championship 4. Philip Scott currently leading our championship 4. Vincent Valvano second in our championship 4. And then these two almost bookend Andre the field, because then you have to go almost all the way back to 9th and 10th. Scott Crump and Tristan Maher, who are two of the last 3 running drivers. So it's kind of a dichotomy right now in our championship 4, but of course you're not going for stage points here tonight. Stage points don't matter if you're the championship 4. You just gotta finish ahead of your other rivals. So we'll keep our eyes on that as we're 6 laps away. Mitchell Adams continuing to pull away, now up to almost a 4-second lead. Very, very interesting that he's out to almost 4-second lead as Garrett Gleason's run down his buddy, the number 3 machine of Jason Shue. This is a battle right now for 6th.
Yeah, and one thing I'm noticing is that after these drivers work their way around Maher and the number 8 of Crump, their gap to the leader kind of stabilized. About 11 seconds was Gleason and Shue about 7 or 8 laps ago. They've only lost a second since then, whereas when they were following Maher, they were losing over a second per lap. So it seems like Maher was holding them up, and the question is this an intentional play by Crump and Maher, or is there just something wrong with those trucks? I could see this being a bit of strategy. Like you said, maybe they just don't want to take tires, and stage points don't matter because it is just the highest finisher. And that could be, but it's a bold move. You don't often see drivers involved in the championship battle take the off-the-wall strategies. They tend to play it a little bit safer. So interesting scenes here at Charlotte, and even we up in the booth don't quite know what to make of it yet. But I'm sure as the night progresses, those puzzle pieces will snap into place, and we'll figure out exactly what these drivers were scheming all along, what machinations were at play. But right now, riding on board, I believe this is with third place Valvano. Or no, this is not with Valvano. This is with who? The 7?
Yeah, that was with Garrett Gleason, G-Money, as we call him up here in the booth. Of course, he was alongside me last week. But we got a battle right here breaking out. This is battle for the top 5. Jason Shue trying to get underneath Paul Bilson. Bilson kind of wallowing back and forth in that top lane just a little bit. Maybe that 00 isn't driving quite to his liking. Jason Shue driving up the racetrack a little bit through turn number 3 and 4, but he will clear the 00 and move himself into the top 5. Johnny Williams currently riding in 4th position, about 7 seconds up the road. But very interesting to see exactly how this is all going to pan out. We anticipate that caution coming out here in about a lap or so, or a lap and a half, when Mitchell Adams right here gets across the line. Next time by, we actually wait until the top 10 makes it across the line. But Mitchell Adams going to have to wait a while. Just looking out front, Andre, you can see a couple of trucks out there. That is the tail end of the lead lap, currently being held by Jimbo Casterline, who said today that he does not want to make it 3 consecutive races of wrecking in the race. And so far, so good for Jimbo. Right on board with the Stay Tuned Sports machine right here. Of course, if you want to listen to Stay Tuned Sports podcast, there's a link in the description. I want to give a big shout out to Jimbo and all the folks over at Stay Tuned Sports podcast, because, Andre, they got their first paid sponsorship recently, and that's pretty cool for Jimbo to get that, as he puts out a podcast rather every week. And like I said, you can get that on the Podbean link. But there is the first caution flag of the night to be thrown, and Andre will re-rack them. Some of these drivers will come down pit road. We think some of them will take tires, and other ones, I don't think the whole field's going to be taking tires here.
Yeah, we got to wait and see. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that 17 and that number 8 and seeing what they do. If they don't take tires, I think we called the strategy. If they do take tires and they were just riding around that whole stage, then color me baffled. I will be more confused now than I was before, and that's saying something. But as the pace truck leads them around 3 and 4, this is going to be the moment of truth, as I believe pit road is open for everybody on the field. The only drivers that were a lap down are off the track, so they will not be racing. And who is going to come down pit road? The 49 of Adams, the 99 of Philip Scott, pretty much everybody up front, the 64 of Valvano. We've got Williams in the 10. We've got Jason Shue. And here comes Crump. So Crump coming down pit road after kind of cruising around the track at 3/4 speed for the last 20 laps. He was not conserving. But what I don't see is I don't see the 17.
Yeah, but will he take tires? I think that's the big question. I think he might just be saving a set of tires. They do have short tanks here in this particular series. You see all of your leaders, like the 49 machine, you see tires going on down and away for Mitchell Adams. But yeah, no jacks for Scott Crump. He's going to be the second off pit road. So we'll just kind of see if maybe some of these other drivers, we know Tristan Maher probably going to get damage repaired on the number 17 from that wall contact. A couple of others still on pit road as well. Joining him, that is Steven Lashinsky, their first truck on pit road. Garrett Gleason now starting to roll in the Coleman's Care Chevy. But you're also seeing William Ratcliffe, who's kind of just occluded by Steven Lashinsky. He's getting that right side looked at, and Tristan Maher getting his right side looked at. So a couple of trucks with similar fates on pit road, but Mitchell Adams came down first. He's off first here. Did take tires, Andre, but it's going to be an interesting restart, because we've seen, at least in qualifying, how loose and tricky these trucks can be on cold tires. Well, Scott Crump's going to have hot tires. He has older tires, but they're going to be nice and warm for this restart.
Oh yeah, they're going to be pretty decent. Although the only thing I'm concerned about, Peter, is with the number 8 being on the older tires. He ran them. Now he's slowing down. He's at pace speed, and he's going to heat those tires back up as we go. That's going to put him through a heat cycle. And iRacing sometimes does not like tires that have been through a heat cycle. Sometimes those tires can start to feel worse than if you were on a set of tires that was fully worn. So we'll have to wait and see how it works out for the number 8. Definitely a bold strategy, but again, sometimes you just got to try something out of the box. If you feel like maybe you're just a little bit off pace and you're not going to get them on the track, then get them on strategy. So quite a bit of racing tonight, 125 laps. It's, if this doesn't work out and he starts to say, okay, these tires are not as good as I thought they were going to be, things are going sideways, there's still time to course correct in this race.
Yeah, plenty of time to course correct, and also plenty of time for things to change drastically here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series Championship night. We want to welcome you if you're just now joining us here on 3 Wide TV. It is Championship night. We do not anticipate being back on the air next Friday night. However, we will be, hold on, I take that back. We will be on air next Friday night. What am I saying? Next Friday night, Andre, is the not the All-Star race, the charity race. Whew, so many races. It's hard to keep things straight. But next Friday night, National Sim Racing Association versus Total Nonstop Racing League. They're going to be going to Irwindale, the figure 8, bringing out the I think it's the Pro 2 lights, and we're going to have ourselves a good old figure 8 race. How about that? And TNR versus NSRA. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to have some team shenanigans going on, some team TNR and some team NSRA. If you end up flipped upside down 4 laps down, well, you can get back out there. That might just happen to everyone else in the field, or you can just become a rolling roadblock. So, that's going to be a lot of fun to see how that all sorts out. That'll be right here, 3 Wide TV, next Friday night. National Sim Racing Association versus TNR. You do not want to miss it. And, of course, it's for charity. All the drivers kind of pitching in. And that money that all the drivers pitch in will go to charity. So pretty cool to see that. Big shout out to all the drivers pitching in to a good cause here on 3 Wide TV. We're going to be doing that race pro bono. It is a charity race. There's no point us making any sense of a dollar off of that race. So going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to look forward to it, Andre. And, we just don't do those types of races enough.
Yeah, definitely. It's always fun to have a bit of a fun race and, for a good cause, with it being a charity race. And that is something that the sim racing community sometimes comes together and manages to do, and always great to see it. But the pace truck is off of the track, and the field is back in the hands of Mitchell Adams in the 49. This time he's got the number 8 of Scott Crump on heat cycle tires behind him. Let's see what that 8 can do as they rocket their way down into turns 1 and 2. Third place, Philip Scott, is going to be trying to find his way around these slightly older tires, I'm sure. But the 8 not making it easy. He's going to slide up, try to throw a block, but it was a little bit too late. The 99 had got his nose in there, made his presence known. He had no choice but to concede that. So it's going to be side by side, not just for position, but for the championship. And Philip Scott takes the current provisional championship lead as we go on board with Crump. Let's see if we can maybe listen in and see where his throttle points are.
Yeah, just... you have to think still probably almost flat out here. Not quite. Losing a little bit of time to the number 99 in front of him, but still, pretty much up to pace with a lot of these other trucks around him, which is pretty impressive. Here comes Vincent Valvano. Gonna try and get around Scott Crump. We got one car behind him. I think that was Johnny Williams in the number 10 having a little bit of a moment. Let's see if we can see exactly what happened to Johnny Williams. Haven't really highlighted Johnny, but so far so good, having a good run. On board with him coming out of turn number 4. Oh, man, gets all types of sideways and has to corral it, keep it going. It didn't look that sideways from that angle, but let's see if we can get one more look at it, because this didn't look very pretty. Here we go. From the top of the grandstand right there, and you can see that was pretty sideways, Andre.
That is not an easy save to make. Let me tell you, that part of the track, the truck does want to get loose coming off of turn 4, especially where that banking starts to recede and the track becomes flat. And usually, once it starts to go around, there's no stopping it. You're either going to wind up in the pit road sand barrels or in the infield. And somehow he was able to bring that thing back around, keep it on the pavement, which is not an easy task. So big props to him. But look at this, the number 17. Now he is working on the 64 of Valvano. Looks like he's at least got a little bit more pace in this run than he did last time around. That is going to be for the 4th position, as I said, with Crump in 3rd right in front of him on the older tires. Now, I maybe you can clarify this for me, Peter. I didn't quite catch the 17 on pit road. Did the 17 take tires?
You know, that is a great question. He had a very long pit stop, and I wasn't able to see his... Yeah, I got a little bit tight out of turn number 4. So I don't know if Maher took tires, to be perfectly honest with you. He did have that long stop to get as much damage repaired as possible, but I don't know if during that time he elected to take on 4 fresh tires or not. And I'm sure that's something we'll have to keep our eyes on as the night goes on. Going around the outside of the number 18 of Crump, you'd have to think, Andre, that he did take tires because he looks so racy. Going around the outside of Scott Crump is something that's A, very difficult to do, but B, even more difficult to do on older tires. So he's kind of looking a little bit like a rocket ship out there, and I gotta think that only 4 fresh tires can make you feel like Rocket Man Ryan Newman here at Charlotte Motor Speedway as he starts to leg it out a little bit on Scott Crump, who's got a little bit of a truly train developing right back behind that Toyota Tundra, currently being scored about 3.4 seconds behind our race leader, Mitchell Adams. And Andre, Mitchell has not really put it all together so far this season in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. He's been away from the wheel for some time. He's eventually going to be going off to college and probably going to have to step away from the wheel a little bit more. I know I did. When I was doing my engineering degree, iRacing was something that just was not possible to do, unfortunately, while getting an engineering degree. But Mitchell, he's going to be going to college here soon. Congratulations to him for that. But he's been away from the wheel, focusing on school, and just hasn't had the speed we anticipated out of the 49 that we saw a couple of seasons ago. But here tonight, he looks like Mitchell Adams of old, dominating the early portions of this race and out to a 1.2 second lead as they go across the start-finish line.
And, I think everybody has that one track that just kind of clicks with them, and they're not maybe even sure why. It's just some track that they enjoy driving. They seem to be fast there, and no matter how long they've been away or how focused they really are on the sim, they're still pretty fast there, and it looks like for Adams this may be that track because, like you said, he's in top form tonight. He's led pretty much every single lap. Nobody's really had anything for him pace-wise. Philip Scott, Tristan Maher, Crump, these guys are no slouches. They've been the dominating cars of the season, and Adams just driving away. He's making it look like nothing, so that should speak volumes about his pace tonight. But this is a good battle back here. We've got the 8 on the slightly older tires. Valvano has not been able to get around him, and the other thing I'm noticing here is that Tristan Maher has not really pulled away. He rocketed around him on the outside, like you said, but once he got there, well, he just kind of stalled out. It was like the sail had been deployed. He's being drugged back. He's only, I'd say about 5 seconds back from the leader. So you're losing time. Definitely not as fast as we would expect, and I can't imagine that loss in pace is from the damage, but I don't know. I almost wonder if he didn't take tires, Peter, because it's hard to tell. It's one thing when he's racing around somebody else that has no fresh tires, and, he looks kind of fast around them, but I think the bigger tell is his pace compared to the leader, and it's just not there. So I think it's completely possible he's saving a set. If the number 8 is saving a set, he probably got wise to that, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad play if that's the case either, because how many races have we seen that start out one way, and then at some point, things just completely get turned on their head. It could be a completely green flag race, and then all of a sudden just a group of cautions appears at the end of the race, or some crazy stuff happens. We've seen that. And if you've got that extra set of tires and nobody else does, well, that may be the difference between a championship or not.
Yeah, we will have to see exactly how it all shakes out after 125 laps around the mile-and-a-half racetrack. As Johnny Williams there, back of the shot is Chevy Silverado. He just had a shot with the outside wall. Let's see if we can go back and get another look. Johnny, who had that great save just a couple of laps after we went back green flag racing. Let's see what happened here. Gets a little bit high out of turn number 4. Hey, buddy, that's the wall. And unfortunately, scraping off a little bit more paint on the right side of his Chevy Silverado. So Johnny here kind of struggling under this run. He was having such a good race up until that caution flag flew at the end of lap number 20. Our one and only caution flag we've had all night long. We only have one stage break. We could be green flag for the final 86 laps of the season. Only time will tell. We did see, Andre, a lot of drivers practicing getting onto pit road. That could come into play, especially as these runs continue to wear on. Mitchell Adams up to a 1.8 second lead, continuing to leg it out on Philip Scott, who has about a 3.6 seconds gap on the truck behind him. That, of course, being another championship contender here tonight, Tristan Thuggy Maher, who sits about a second up the road from Scott Crump, who sits directly in front of one of our championship 4. Whichever one, Philip Scott, Tristan Maher, Scott Crump, or Vincent Valvano finishes highest here tonight, they are the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series champion. As we work our way through turn number 3 and 4, Valvano having a look underneath the number 8 machine. Nothing doing just yet.
And Valvano, obviously, with a great opportunity tonight to walk away the champion if things play in his favor. But another issue for the 10. Man, oh man, that truck is not handling the way he wants. I got to wonder if something didn't get bent when he hit that outside wall, although his issues kind of started long before that, coming through. And again, turn 4. I know that looks kind of odd from the replay perspective, but the truck really does just want to spin left out of 4 if you're not careful. And sometimes it just pulls you down to that apron or down into the infield, and there's not much you can do about it. So he got down on the apron. He's currently building back up to speed in that number 10, trying to get back on the racing surface safely, which, of course, no, he's actually going to come. What is he going to do here? He's going to come down pit road.
Yeah, I think he's coming down pit road here, which is a tough break for Johnny Williams. If you don't know, Johnny Williams this week got some fantastic news, and that fantastic news is that the skin cancer surgery that he had went well. They got all of the skin cancer, and so he is now clear of skin cancer. That is the great news that Johnny Williams received this week. You could finish dead last here, be upside down, Andre, and it wouldn't diminish your week after getting that great of news. But Johnny not having the night that he wanted on pit road in his pit box, going to fall multiple laps down. We'll see whether or not he returns to the fray as well. We might be down to just 10 trucks as Garrett Gleason is the last truck on the lead lap. Looks like Garrett did not take tires under the last pit stop in the Coleman's Care machine, but am I seeing a little bit of right side damage? I think I am seeing a little bit of right side damage. That probably not helping the pace of the number 7.
No, that's not really going to help your pace much. The right rear is kind of important for aero at these mile-and-a-halfs, not definitely the side of the car you want to damage. So we'll keep an eye on him, see what's going on. This battle between the number 8 and the 64, this has just been heating up lap after lap. These guys have been getting closer and closer, and I think at this point, Valvano is probably getting pretty frustrated behind the wheel, just waiting for an opportunity. Here it might be. Down the back straightaway, the 64 gets a pretty good run. He's going to give him a little bit of a side draft to that 8, dive it down to that blue line, and with ease, he is going to take 3rd on the podium for the time being, and that is going to be 3rd in the championship. There's 2 more trucks ahead of him he's got to try to run down, but it's not going to be over yet. That's not all she wrote, because that number 8 is not letting him drive away. To the tailgate, to the tow hitch. That 8 is going to push him into the corner, let off just a little bit. Let's see what he can do down the back straightaway.
I'm saying a little bit of right rear damage on the number 8 machine as well. Not sure when that happened or whether or not that's affecting the pace of the Toyota Tundra right now, but it does seem like Scott Crump might be a little bit slower on the straightaways. Not really seeing any paint removed from the right side with the exception of the right rear corners. So a little thing to note there at this stage of the race. He's going to have to get some of that repaired when he's on pit road here shortly. These drivers were on pit road on lap number 22. We're now on lap number 48, so this is the longest run they've been out there on the racetrack. You have to think, Andre, maybe about 5 to 10 more laps until these drivers have to be on pit road. They do run a smaller fuel tank here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, so that usually means more pit stops for these drivers. It makes for a lot of fun for us up here in the booth when they do finally bleed onto pit road. But for Scott Crump, you think he's going to want to get on pit road here ASAP. Just looking at the gap up to Mitchell Adams, it currently sits at 8 seconds. The gap to the leader of the championship contenders, that's Philip Scott right now, 5.6 seconds from Scott Crump. But we got our championship 4 in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They're all running together there on the scoring pylon on your left-hand side of the screen.
Running together, but definitely some separation as Philip Scott has about 4 seconds over Tristan Maher, and Maher himself has about a second over Valvano, who is starting to pull away from that 8 now that he's finally made the pass. So kind of single filed, and everything's pretty calm for now. Here's the number 18. He's right behind another driver there. Can't quite make out the number. I think that might be Ratcliffe in the 95 he's following. So again, I think that truck might have got a little loose there out of turn 4, and that is the trouble spot. We've seen some drivers struggle there, and with these trucks, man, especially on older tires, it gets looser and looser. Kind of hard to describe to anybody who's not driven this track in sim, but not necessarily the most straightforward track to make a lap around. As we go on board, we're going to go through the treacherous turns 3 and 4, heading down towards the Tribal, which would go into the Heartburn turn were we on the Roval, but we're not. Instead, the whole track is just the Heartburn track because it's giving these guys some fits tonight.
Yeah, and let's see if we can actually bring up a graphic. Usually we bring up this graphic at the beginning of the race, but one of the reasons why turns number 3 and 4 are so treacherous is they're actually a little bit tighter than turn number 1 and 2. So turns number 1 and 2 are on the right side of this track graphic. And you can just see it's just a little bit wider of a corner. The racetrack narrows towards turn number 3 and turn number 4, and it completely changes the complexion of the corner. These drivers have to really, really be careful in turn number 3 and 4. You really have to be on it. Turn number 1 and 2, you can keep your foot flat a little bit more. The racetrack kind of opens up a little bit as you come out of turn number 2 for the backstretch. But turn number 4 is definitely the difficult corner because of that track geometry. Well, let's bring back up the scoring pylon. Doesn't look like we missed all too much, although Jimbo's making a move here. This is for position, currently for 8th, and looks like Jimbo's going to take it.
A successful pass down on the bottom, and I think that might have intimidated Ratcliffe in the 95 a little bit. He was trying to follow that 18 through the corner, and it did not go quite as planned. He's going to get a little bit wide out of the turn and just calibrating the outside wall, making sure it's where it needs to be.
Yeah, and that's pretty easy to do here. I know I've done that one before over the years, and it's never fun when it happens, but you're out there on the racetrack, you're kind of following another car, and you just kind of lose a sighting point on the wall as these drivers come up on the slower traffic right there. This is Steven Lashinsky, who has made it out there onto the racetrack, the Maximum Destruction machine. Unfortunately, didn't get going. That is, of course, Maximum Destruction of the Monster Jam fame, and working his way through turn number 3 and 4, now finding maybe a little bit more pace, finding his sea legs. I think he just completed his first lap, Andre, so only 55. Whoa, Ratcliffe again. Same thing. Lost the sighting point, had a truck in front of him, and pounded that outside wall worse this time than last time.
Designated wall calibration expert, Ratcliffe in the 95, just giving it the old stress test here. And I tell you what, that I've done. I can't even sit here and lie to you about it. The thing is, that tri-oval tightens up quicker than you think. And if you got a bad angle coming out of that final turn of the tri-oval, that outside wall will sneak up on you sooner rather than later. And I've definitely made that exact blunder a time or two, so I can't really hold that against him. We do have our first taker onto green down pit road, at least our first scheduled pit stop, I would believe. Number 7, Garrett Gleason, going to get 4 fresh Goodyears on that machine, a little bit of fuel. They're going to send him on his way. Meanwhile, Adams still leading the race, and the gap between Adams and Scott has pretty much not changed one iota, Peter. It is still 1.5 seconds. That is exactly where it was when we kind of focused in on these guys about 20 laps ago. So it seems like the long-run pace evens out. It's just the initial jump. When these guys are out on track for the first few laps on a start, that 49 is able to pull away just a little bit. Or it could be, maybe the 49 is like, all right, I got a second and a half. There's no reason for me to go all out. Maybe the 49 just gets him out to about a 1.5 second lead, walks it out there, and then reins it in.
Yeah, I think Phillip might be closing a little bit. We'll keep our eyes on that up at the front, now down to about 1.4 seconds. Oh, as I say that, though, Mitchell Adams is on pit road, so scheduled pit stop for the number 49 machine here with 66 laps to go. Could be an important number. Just thinking it's been about 38 laps since these drivers were last on pit road, so we think probably only one more pit stop to see out the end of the race, but Phillip Scott will assume the race lead, as it looks like Mitchell Adams gets onto pit road A-OK. How far will Phillip Scott push in his F-150? He's going to go another lap, so getting a couple of extra laps on Mitchell Adams. Tristan Thuggy Maher now coming down pit road, the Eclipse Photography F-150. Not sure if he's on the same set of tires that he started the race on, but if so, he's going to be glad to get 4 fresh tires, that's for sure. Scott Crump and the number 8 machine, we know he's on the same set of tires he started this race with. So he's going to be yelling at this point, Andre. He's been out there on this set of tires for 61 laps this time by. In fact, I'm surprised he wasn't an early taker on pit road, as Vincent Valvano, he's going to come down pit road this time. Vincent Valvano on pit road in front of him. Look at that, Scott Crump making all types of ground on Vincent Valvano as they're side by side on pit road. Believe Scott Crump qualified just in front of Vincent Valvano, so this should work its way out as they work their way towards their pit stalls. There you go. Vinny, in fact, going to back off a little bit. Crump in his box nice and neatly, and he'll be down and away here shortly. Phillip Scott, also in front of them on pit road. He is down and away, 4 fresh tires for the World Ninja League machine. He will return to the fray, and we'll get to see how everything sorts out. But Mitchell Adams, the number 49 machine, already the number 49 machine has reasserted himself as the race leader. The undercut, if you will. Andre working mighty well for the 49 machine. Look at that lead, almost a full straightaway.
Yeah, that's not a small margin. It was 1.3 seconds when he came into pit road. It is now 4.7 that he leads, and that is actually extending as Scott continues to get up to pace. It looks like it's going to equalize about 4.8 seconds, which is quite a bit. Like you said, that's about an entire straightaway, and nothing to scoff at. So played the strategy pretty well, got it on and off pit road just about as well as you could ask. Another familiar battle happening in front of our leader, though. Looks like the 18 and the 95 have found themselves together once again. This time the 95 just a little ways off the rear bumper of the 18 Stay Tuned Sports machine. We'll see what those two do, if they can reel each other in, have another battle, or if the leader's going to come up here and have something to say about it. I don't think we've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this may be the first time we see anybody get lapped on pace.
Yeah, first time here tonight that anyone's fallen a lap down on pace, like you mentioned. Of course, we got a couple drivers like Johnny Williams and now Garrett Gleason. Not sure what's happened to Gleason. He did have some right side damage, maybe just electing to get it all fixed before returning to the mix. But unfortunately, Gleason will be multiple laps down. William Ratcliffe coming onto pit road in his machine right now as well. So that crew will have a lot of damage to fix. We saw him pound the wall a couple of times there, but between the start-finish line and turn number 1, the dog leg, if you will, the kink, whatever you want to call that, not a turn, kink, turn, whatever, right there. You see one of them, and this is a second one. And just the way this racetrack is shaped, just slightly asymmetrical, that second one right after the start-finish line always ends up being the more difficult one, as our race leader Mitchell Adams goes to work on Jimbo Casterline. Jimbo's going to let Mitchell on through up at the front of the field. Do want to make a shout out into the chat. Robert Miller is in the chat. Robert, thanks for tuning on in, saying, I miss my dirt. Of course, we did go dirt tracking this season in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, which was great to see. Really hope that we see more dirt track racing, maybe, sprinkled in here or there. Why don't they do that occasionally, Andre? Just say, we're going to have a fun race, and the fun race is going to be some dirt cars, maybe sprint cars or something at one of the dirt tracks. I'm sure you got some drivers who'd love it and some drivers who'd probably abhor it, but that's what makes part of it fun, as Tristan Maher has dropped down to 4th. Scott Crump now up to 3rd, and he's just looking at this, Scott Crump about 4 seconds behind Philip Scott. Andre, that's a gap we're going to have to continue to watch as Maher's on pit road. What's happened here to the Eclipse Photography F-150?
Oh, he's done.
Something must have happened. Let's see if we can figure out maybe some heavy contact with the wall or something. Let's see if we can sort out what happened to the Eclipse Photography F-150. Oh man, was it the same thing again? Was it into turn number 1? Yeah, I think it was. Let's see. Gonna have to dial up the camera angle for this one. And we'll play it right there. Roll the tape, going off into turn number 1, and just pancakes it. Pancakes the right-hand side, similar to what we've seen out of the number 95 of William Ratcliffe, but number 17 felt like something was amiss, maybe broke the suspension, Andre. A tough break for Tristan Maher.
Yeah, I'm thinking after he hit that wall, he probably felt something right away. It just wasn't right with the truck. And we're getting to the point in the race, we're approaching lap 71 here, as the leader's going to take the stripe next time. We're getting down to it. And I think if you damage the truck that much and you're just that far off pace, things look a little hopeless. Now, I'm, of course, of the mindset of, hey, a race isn't over till it's over. You might as well stay in it just to see what happens. You don't gain anything by quitting. But at the same time, I definitely understand the mentality of, I've had enough fun for one night. I've been there a time or two. So unfortunate for the 17, and it just was not Tristan Maher's season. He had pace, a very talented driver, but sometimes, you just have off seasons, off years, and this happened to be one of them.
Yeah, and of course, when it comes to these championship races where it all comes down to one race, if you feel like your night is done and you're not going to have a shot at winning, well, that's it, honestly. There's no point racing any further at that point. That's just the nature of these races. You don't have sponsors to make happy or anything like that. At least some drivers don't, put it that way. But we have a couple of drivers here in the NSRA, like Jeff Price, who unfortunately could not be here tonight. He was going to be one of our Championship 4 drivers, but Jeff Price could not make it. But he's, always thanking his sponsor, Back Channel Productions, and everything he does. And definitely want to say, Jeff, if you're watching, hope you're doing well, buddy. I'll see you back out there on the racetrack. Now that we're in the back half of the race, let's kind of, talk about the future, Andre, of the National Sim Racing Association, because some people watching here tonight probably a bit surprised that tonight's the championship night. Well, Friday nights. If you go back to 2020, Andre, 2021, we're in the middle of COVID. What do you do on a Friday night? Nothing. You sit on your couch. Is what most of these drivers were doing. So then they ended up racing. They ended up jumping in front of their computer, all getting together, big car counts, everyone's having a whale of a time. Then COVID disappears, and what do? Well, on a Friday night, you go out, you spend time with family, you travel, you do whatever you need to do. Friday nights, maybe not the best night for racing anymore. It was during COVID, that's for sure. Everyone loved it, as we are getting word that maybe William Ratcliffe's night and troubles continue. Let's see if we can dial this up. Like he's already off the racetrack at this point. Let's see what happened. Oh, just hit a bump there coming out of turn number 2, locked it down. We stayed green flag off the racetrack, and oof.
Oh, just let off the brakes a little bit too soon there. I think he thought it was going to hook to the right, and it didn't, just went into the wall. But like you were saying, Peter, you're exactly right. We're getting into the summer months, and so people are going to be a lot more busy. I know I myself am going to be kind of gone a lot of weekends, going places, and I'll have certain obligations that you just don't really have in the winter months. And for a lot of people, their weekend is basically Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday they tend to take a break because they know they got to be to work Monday. But it's a busy time. And like you said earlier, life comes first. So the car count has sort of dropped in the league. And again, it's not unique to this league. Even I remember back in the NASCAR heat days, multiple leagues I was a part of would race on Fridays. And every time we'd get to these summer months, the car count dropped. So from what I understand and what you told me, Peter, is we're looking at maybe switching things up and starting to race on Thursday nights and kind of getting a clean start and a clean slate.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll stay on top of the news, if you will, here at 3 Wide TV in regards to the National Sim Racing Association, because, of course, we do have our duties to broadcast the National Sim Racing Association for multiple more races this season. So we're looking forward to doing that. That is for sure. Mitchell Adams up front by about 4.5 seconds over Philip Scott. Scott Crump in the Stay Tuned Sports Toyota Tundra. They're a little bit further back. Right now, the gap to Philip Scott, 2.5 seconds. He is slowly chomping into that gap, little by little, trying to get a little bit of draft off Jimbo Casterline. That will help at least a little bit until he starts to get into the dirty air. But looks like Jimbo's giving him a lot of the bottom side of the racetrack. That will give Scott Crump plenty of clean air on the nose for him. Meanwhile, Vincent Valvano, not sure what's happened to Vinny. Unfortunately, the number 64, I believe, Andre, speeding on his pit stop for the number 64. No. He is currently being scored 1 lap down in the Talkin' Giants Ford F-150, which was crazy because he had what seemed like a pretty tentative entry compared to Scott Crump. Not sure if maybe he sped exiting pit road or something of the sort. Doesn't look like he sped exiting. Must have sped sometime entering or on pit road, because he had a 55-second pit stop, and iRacing does 40-second stop and holds. Typical pit stop time is 15 seconds. 15 plus 40 is 55. You do the math, and I think that indicates that it could be night done for Vincent Valvano unless we get a caution flag, which is always possible out there. All it takes is one mistake. We've seen a couple here tonight. Johnny Williams on pit road in his number 10 machine, coming to his pit crew, presumably going to get his final set of tires with about 45 laps to go. Might be stretching it a little bit far in the fuel tank department, but he's going to come down and get some of that damage repaired. That is for sure. Mitchell Adams still our race leader. However, we're down to just 4 drivers on the lead lap. Mitchell Adams, Philip Scott, Scott Crump, and this driver right here, Andre. I want to give a big shout out to Jason Shue, the number 3. He has been creeping up in the field, been looking at possibly getting a podium. And here tonight, if anything happens to the top 3, this driver right now has been keeping all 4 corners nice and clean and doing that Kevin Harvick throwback good justice.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Obviously, thrown back to the closer, it makes sense that he would just get better as the night goes on. And it really has been a very clean race for that number 3. We've seen everybody on track make mistakes. We've seen the leader make mistakes. We've seen Philip Scott make mistakes. We've seen Crump make mistakes. From the front of the field to the back, it seems like this track has bitten everybody at some point or another. But the number 3, well, he's kept that nice white and red truck body pretty much pristine. He doesn't even have to take that thing to the car wash. It's looking as fresh as it was when he rolled it off the trailer. And sometimes that's what you need. So 19 seconds back from the leader, but only about 13 seconds back from Scott Crump, now 14 seconds. So we'll see. It could be a potential podium. And even if it's not, a top 5 and a clean run, you can't really complain about ending your season on a bit of a high note like that.
But we'll continue to keep our eyes on Jason Shute as the night goes on. Let's jump up to the front of the field. Mitchell Adams. Let's see if we can, look at some of the time gaps between Adams and some of the other drivers on the lead lap. So let's start with Philip Scott. Philip Scott right here, you can see starting to close in just a little bit in the last, last 8 laps or so. Has pulled in about a full second on our race leader. You can see maybe starting to kind of peter off just a little bit as that graph is starting to be a bit more vertical. But we do know that Mitchell Adams came down pit road a couple of laps before Philip Scott, 2 laps before to be exact. So slightly older tires on Adams, but Adams has done a great job up at the front of the field. Let's go back one more driver, though, to the number 8 machine of Scott Crump. And for the last 8 laps, Scott Crump has pulled in as right on about a second as well. So both Philip Scott and Scott Crump closing in at similar rates. And, of course, that begs the question. I think everyone at home probably can do the math. But what about Philip Scott and Scott Crump? Well, those 2 drivers, they've been kind of trading back and forth between one another. But Crump did take off a good chunk that last time by. Pulled it into just under 2 seconds now. So, Andre, maybe we'll have a battle for the championship breakout before this is all said and done. And wouldn't that be so NSRA to have a battle for the championship right at the very end of the race? These drivers continue. Doesn't matter what track, doesn't matter what they're racing. There's always drama at the end of these races. It's almost like they script it that way.
Yeah, we've had a lot of races that have been very, very chaotic, very dramatic. Darlington, for example, just recently was definitely something. And these guys, they have a way of putting on a show no matter what the track or how many cars are on track. And I think it would be odd if the season ended with just a long green flag run. I definitely wouldn't complain about it. I think having a long organic race is probably the purest form of motorsport, but I don't know. It would be weird if that's the way the season ended, because that's definitely not the way things have trended, but you never know. We'll have to wait and see. We've got another 35 laps of racing to go here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the circuit formerly known as Lowe's Motor Speedway. Looking back from the rear end of Philip Scott, he's looking towards Crump, who is so far the closest and only real competition for the championship. He's about 2 seconds back. Close enough that you can see him, but not close enough that he's necessarily got to worry about him quite yet as they work their way through 3 and 4. And again, that's going to be the trouble spot. You can see just how quickly, Peter, that banking goes away. You're going from an absurd amount of banking down to the flat, and it's not as gradual of a transition as it's going to be here in 1 and 2. If you pay attention through the corner, a lot of banking. Watch this transition. It's just a little bit more gradual than what we see on the front straightaway, and I think that's where the handling issues we've seen with the 95 and the 10 have really come from.
Yeah, that is for sure. I think you nailed it right on the head. So, just looking right now, these drivers have been out there, Andre, since lap number 59 to 62. Just gotta think that we'll be seeing them pit somewhere in the late 90s, maybe around lap number 100, before coming down to make their final pit stop. Now, we're definitely nearing that window where these drivers will be able to go the distance to the checkered flag. Maybe in, well, you know what? They're probably already in the window where they can make it to the checkered flag. So I expect to see these drivers peeling. Well, hell, how about that? One's already peeled off onto pit road. That is Jason Shue. And look at that. Andre, his pit board there is a shoe.
I like it. I mean, he's not going to miss that one. That's for sure. There's only one driver that's got that pit board.
I think that's very fitting, so hats off to whoever painted the number 3's pit board. I gotta say, I got Beckles Auto Body on the back of the number 3 machine. And Yeah, you don't see that type of stuff very, very often, but when you see it, you gotta appreciate it. Philip Scott on pit road now, coming in one lap after. He heard us, Andre. He heard that the pit window was open. He's gonna come down into his pit box, the number 99 machine. That crew's gonna go to work. Right side tires going on. Now the big question is, when is our race leader, Mitchell? Oh, there you go. Mitchell Adams on pit road right there. And here comes Scott Crump, the number 8 machine on pit road. So trying to do everything to get that truck down to pit road speed. A little bit of a wiggle there right at the very end. And the number 8 Toyota Tundra coming to his pit box. It's money time. This is the money stop at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
And it's probably at this point that Crump is starting to question his life choices, because I think that strategy to save a set of tires, it potentially could have played out very well. But the way this race has gone, the likelihood of a caution is essentially nil. And I don't want to give it the commentator's curse, but everybody's pretty far separated. And obviously, with the way iRacing determines cautions, if somebody spins on their own and there's nobody to pass by them too close by, they can wreck all they want and as violently as they want, and that's not going to be a yellow. So I don't think that extra set of tires is really going to come into play, and all the time he sacrificed to have that extra set has definitely come back to bite him. Now the gap between the leaders, look at this, 1.2 seconds from Scott to Adams. Now Scott currently leading the championship, but not leading the race. This is about as close as he has been to the leader since the drop of the green for stage 2. Under a second as they work their way into 1 and 2. And we'll see how it plays out. Now the 49 does have 1 lap fresher tires. Philip Scott came down pit road. The very next lap, the 49 said, okay, you're not going to get that big of an undercut, which was probably the play. Speaking of single car spins, there's the 00 of Paul Bilson. And
caution.
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess I shouldn't have said anything.
He said it was nil. And, the NSRA
Well,
said otherwise. Paul Bilson going around having problems at the end of pit road. You have to think maybe just pitted or something, got on the loud pedal, maybe a little bit too much coming out of his pit box. Let's see. Rear tire is already having a little bit of wheel spin. And, just too much beans. Andre got it spun around. And unfortunately, I mean, he did stay below the line there, and nope, just that little bit. There must have been a little bit. Of course, he did spin the truck again back up the rail. Maybe that's what brought out the caution. But
no, it was the car that passed by him. Even though they weren't on the racing surface, they were, I think, right at the end of pit road, which is technically considered separate from the apron. And somebody went right by him as he was throttling up, and I think iRacing saw that, and they flagged it up as a yellow flag. Right there, you see the number 10 go by, and I believe that was the cause of the yellow. So, I shouldn't have said anything. I said that the chances of what is happening here? Somebody's going backward. We'll take a look at the number 10. Boy, oh boy, things have really gone off the rails late in the running here in the championship race. Let's see what transpired. Number 10, just a little bit too hot on the brakes. Gets on the throttle, tries to loop it around, says, all right, no harm, no foul, we're good. And I've been there. I may or may not have done that a time or two, but man, oh man.
Oh, Jimbo did it too.
Jimbo, what is going on? Is this track made of ice?
I don't know, but it's like a skating rink all of a sudden. Let's see what happened to Jimbo. Here we go, on board with the Stay Tuned Sports Machine. He's catching the pack really quick, gets on the brakes, keeping trying to slow it down, and then it just snapped at him right there at the end. And then you see Johnny Williams come in, and he does the same, and then back behind them, Jason Shue says, "Whoop, you know what, maybe I should slow down a little bit quicker than, a little bit earlier than those other trucks out there," but nonetheless, we're going to reset the field here. Just looking up and down the scoring pylon, nobody elected to come back down pit road. A little bit surprising. Scott Crump, he only 5 laps or so, but it seems like tires do matter here. Scott Crump does have an extra set of tires on pit road. Jason Shue is the only other driver on the lead lap. Well, we'll add Vincent Valvano, which is huge for Vinny, Andre, because, Vinny's back on the lead lap and with a chance of winning the championship. Of course, you'll have to start tail end of the longest line for this upcoming restart, but nonetheless, that's big for Vincent Valvano running in 5th now. But I don't know. If I was Scott Crump, I think I would have come down and taken tires. What about you?
You know, I can't say that I would have. I can kind of understand the play to keep that set behind the wall for now, because you got to look at this. We're 26. It'll be probably about 25 laps to go when we go green. That's quite a bit of time for racing. And we've got 2 championship contenders, Crump and Philip Scott, right there with one another. We may not have seen the last caution of the night. Cautions breed cautions, and yes, the field is rather abbreviated, but nonetheless, if these guys race hard, they don't want to give any room, and it's all take and no give, we could see that yellow flag fly closer to the end, at which point it would be smart to take those tires. Now, we do have 2 drivers on the apron. Is this a fake out? It is going to be a fake out for the 49 and the 8, just playing a little mind game maybe. I don't think they were trying to save fuel down there. They should be more than good on fuel. But yeah, it could just be the 8 is waiting for another yellow. He thinks that this won't be the end of it. We'll have to wait and see if he's correct in that.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see. Pace truck lights have turned off. We'll get set to go back to green flag racing here shortly, and we'll have 25 laps, and very fitting number of laps to round out our 2023 Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series championship here on 3 Wide TV. Thank you for tuning in. I'm just heading over to take a quick peek of the chat. Been a little bit quiet here tonight, but if you're in the chat and you're rooting on one of these drivers, let us know who you want to see go to victory lane and raise the trophy to round out the 2023 season. We got Mitchell Adams leading the race, not one of our championship contenders. Then you got Philip Scott, Scott Crump, and Vincent Valvano all inside the top 5, and a little bit of Jason Shue sprinkled in as well in the GM Goodwrench Service Plus Chevy Silverado. Pace truck heads through turn number 3 and 4. We expect to see it head down onto pit road here in just a brief moment. Those race trucks looking nice and neat. And Andre, you have to say that as the flagman grabs the green flag, that really all the leaders doing a great job keeping their trucks nice and clean for this 25-lap shootout.
Yeah, we'll see if they can keep them that way, because it is now all on the line. A championship at risk here as they come to the start-finish line for the drop of the green. 25 to go at Charlotte. Our leader, Mitchell Adams, gets a pretty good jump. He's going to take the solo lead, and for the championship, Scott Crump is going to try to sneak by on the bottom, get around that 99, and he is clear. I couldn't quite tell from that angle, but it looks like the 99 is going to strike back down on the bottom. And it is going to be a crossover move with a little bit of a pull from the 49, maybe using that draft if he can. Coming out of turn 4. They're still going to be side by side. This is the race for second, but also the race for the championship. Going to be door to door, getting really close there. Through 1 and 2, the bottom should be the preferred lane, but he gets a little bit loose. He wiggles a bit. That's going to cost him some momentum, and he's got the 49 in front of him. Even if he had the momentum, nowhere to really take it. Still, nose to nose, Toyota versus Ford. And the 49 moves up. He blocks the 8. He is doing everything he can to keep these 2 drivers at bay, and they're saying, come on, man, let us go. We're racing for the championship. And Mitchell Adams says, I don't care. That checkered flag is going to be mine one way or the other. With the trial, we'll look at this, man. 3 cars now for Jason Shue. We talked about him wanting a podium. Well, if this keeps up, it may happen.
It very well might happen, and who knows if these 2 tangle. Valvano is waiting in the wings as it looks like finally Scott Crump able to clear the number 99 of Philip Scott, but we know Philip Scott is not going to give up that easy as he gets a good run coming out of turn number 4. Here comes Crump. Crump going to throw a little bit of a block on the number 99, but he's going to go for the race lead. All of a sudden, the number 8 got a good run. The number 99 got a good run. The 49 must not have got a good run out of turn number 4, and the number 8 of Scott Crump going to try and get to the lead for the first time here tonight, halfway down the backstretch. He's might just barely get clear of Adams, does not. The number 99 trying to loosen up the back end of the number 8 truck. It's a great battle here as we're coming to 21 laps to go at Charlotte.
And the thing is, he made that move at the wrong end of the track. The 64 was able to defend because the high line is better down there. It's the tighter of the corners, so taking that wider radius lets you maintain speed. Now 1 and 2 here, bottom is going to be faster. He's going to get a little bit of an advantage. And the 99 probably trying to make up his mind. He's going to go up high. He's trying to keep these guys side by side. He doesn't want that 8 getting out to a solo lead. So it's not just about trying to pass these guys. In fact, passing them may be impossible as long as they stay too wide. All he can do is try to manipulate this battle. Say, hey, if that 8 gets out front, I might not see him again, and that could be the championship over. So I'm going to push this 64. I'm going to lend him my help, try to get him out front so that I can focus on battling this number 8. But he's got to get that 49 the lead. If he can't do it for himself, that's the only way. Meanwhile, the number 3, Jason Shu, he's closed in even more. He's a part of this battle, well and proper now. He's within striking distance. He's just watching these guys battle it out. I'm sure these guys have sacrificed a ton of lap time with this fight that they've had going on, and Shu has just really taking control of that now, side by side again for the championship battle. The 99 on the top, Philip Scott, and then on the bottom, Scott Crump, trying to make sure that he can use that draft off the 49, get clear if possible, but it's not going to happen. The 99 rocketing off the high side. He's got a pretty good run here, but just as Philip Scott was trying to manipulate the battle earlier for the lead, the 3 has a little bit of a say in this, Peter, because whoever he lines up behind on the straightaway is going to have just that little bit of aero help and maybe a little bit faster. So just so much going on with only 18 to go, and the 99 does get clear, but only by an inch, as the 8 is going to try to take the air off of him and strike back into turn 1.
Yeah, Philip Scott doing a great job with that kind of higher entry into turn number 1 and dropping down, cutting the number 8 machine, putting him in dirty air. D. Crump kind of diving into the corner a little bit harder, getting some clean air on the nose, but when the number 99 drops down to the bottom side of the racetrack, you see that number 8 all of a sudden starts to drop backwards. Going to have to regroup a little bit in the Stay Tuned Sports Toyota Tundra, but it is a battle for the win here tonight, or a battle for the championship and the win here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Mitchell Adams out front. You see he's got now probably 2 or so truck lengths of a lead. And you know, Andre, he's probably thinking, thank goodness, get that truck off my rear tailgate. But it's not over yet. 16 more laps to go. 1.5 mile racetrack, 24 miles still to play for. Just think about that, Andre, and everyone at home watching. 24 miles, where does that get you on your nearest highway? What near town does that get you to? Maybe it gets you to no near towns, but 24 miles, by car, takes you a while. 24 miles here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast trucks doesn't take an awful lot of time. We're coming down to crunch time here in the championship.
Yeah, it's definitely go time, and the number 8 knows that. He's trying to do everything he can to not let that 99 drive away with it. The 99's been fast. I would say, other than Adams, the 99 has had the second fastest truck in the field by far. It seems like nobody's really had anything for him. But the 8's playing it smart. If you look on the straightaways and in the corners, he's kind of sticking the nose of his truck just half a lane up or half a lane down, trying to put himself in clean air, even if it means taking the less preferred line. Because being in the cleaner air means that truck's going to handle better. He's going to have more pace overall. You've seen him run just half a lane lower through 3 and 4. That closed him in by half a truck length right there. He keeps that up, the battle's going to be back on for the championship. If he was following that 99 tire track for tire track, he might have some handling issues. But he's playing it smart. He knows what he's doing. He's no slouch behind the wheel. And these guys, they don't even care that Adam's driving away with it. They say, okay, yeah, you go. You win this race. I'm not really worried about that. And they are fighting absolutely feverishly. Meanwhile, the 3 now starting to lose just a little bit of that pace that he had. He was enjoying these guys when they were battling, being able to pull in, and now they've kind of sorted it out single file. Their lap times have stabilized to what we would normally see, and the 3 is just fading back a little ways, but still in the catbird seat. If anything happens to anybody on the podium, he is waiting in the wings to snatch that up. But here it is, Peter. The battle is back on. The 8 has caught the 99. He is within striking distance, but the question is, what does he do now that he's here? Has he learned from that battle he had just a few laps ago? Is there anything? Whoa, the front end washes out, but still a ton of momentum coming out of the corner, Peter. He's going to look low. Contact to the bumper.
Now we're back to side by side. That didn't last all too long, did it? They're back up on the wheel. The 8 machine on the inside, the 99 on the outside. Ugh. I thought Crump was side by side with him from that last camera angle, but this camera angle tells the story. Scott able to clear him once again. I think I do see a little bit of right front damage maybe on the number 99 machine, and that's going to allow Crump now to look to the outside. Got a good run up off the corner. He's going to try the long way around the racetrack here, Andre. He hasn't made the low side work just yet, but maybe he can get that high line to work.
Oh, that 8 truck is on rails right now. He just slingshotted around that outside, carrying a ton of momentum down the straightaway. All Philip Scott can do is try to side draft him and hope that it's enough, but it may not be. Through 3 and 4, a high line, not a bad option, and it's going to get the 8 out front. So for the championship, now Scott Crump is in position. And the 99 losing a ton of pace through the tribal. You're exactly right. I think there is some right front damage on that thing, and I don't know where exactly he got it. Maybe it was from that battle, but it could very well be holding him up right now.
Yeah, that definitely looks new to me. I must have missed when it happened, but maybe the folks at home more eagle-eyed than me. I know I've been looking at live timing and scoring, trying to keep up with what's happening around the racetrack, but right now, it is advantage Scott Crump, who has been fast all season long. Many, many poles to his name this season. Missed a couple of races, but nonetheless still came into tonight, rather, leading the points standings. And you have to think, Andre, that if you're leading the point standings going into the final race, you probably have a good shot of being champion, as well as being a worthy champion at that. And now, you know what? Scott Crump, with make that 8 laps to go, he's starting to run down Mitchell Adams as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say that lead that Mitchell Adams had built up over the course of that last run is starting to deteriorate. In fact, I would say it has deteriorated 0.2 of a second now from first to second. It is truly a battle. Now, this is actually, believe it or not, a good thing for Philip Scott. It's good the number 8 has caught this 49, because now, if the number 8 were to get involved in a battle and he starts fighting for the win of the race itself, and he maybe kind of forgets that his primary goal is simply the championship, they could start slowing each other down. And that may provide an opportunity for the 99 with its damage to try to reel them in just a little bit. But if the 8's smart, he might not battle too hard until the very end. Obviously, he has every right and every motivation to try to take the race win, but maybe just wait a few laps and then start making the moves, because you don't want to slow yourself up too much right now. But man, that 8 is fast. I mean, the amount that he closed in such a short time frame is almost unparalleled. This may not even be a battle. He's going to get down to the bottom, it looks like. Nope. So the 49 stays clear, but he's going to go to the top. This may be a repeat of the move he pulled on the 99 if he can just build up that momentum.
Yeah, he just backed up turn number 1 and 2 a little bit, trying to get that power down. You can see him pulling closer and closer and closer to the back end of that Chevy Silverado. We'll jump the camera angles to look out back of the number 49 machine. Fatal Concepts on the rear deck lid. World Racing Network, WRN, on the tailgate, as well as Mitchell Adams' machine looking at Scott Crump, who is in the catbird seat to win the championship here tonight, continuing to put a gap on Philip Scott. Now 1.2 seconds behind the number 8 machine is Philip Scott. Vincent Valvano, he had problems trying to navigate some of the slower traffic on the restart, and he's now being scored about 10 seconds behind the race lead in the 5th spot. Jason Shue still riding in 4th, but kind of out of the picture as of right now. 4 laps to go, just 6 miles left in the championship. Still, it is Mitchell Adams, and Andre, you have to think here tonight, if Mitchell Adams does not go to victory lane, he has dominated this race. It would be an absolute travesty. It would be highway robbery if Mitchell Adams does not win this race, but that is what Scott Crump is trying to do. He got a good run out of turn number 4 here, Andre.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's been a green flag lap not led by Mitchell Adams, and with 3 to go, he is being well and truly challenged for that lead for the first time all night. And it's a very real possibility if this 8 makes the move. it could be that he just doesn't lead the one lap that matters. He's going to have to play some defense. You see the number 8 getting a little bit antsy. He dives down to the bottom of the track. He's trying to see if the door was open enough, and it just wasn't. Coming out of 3 and 4 again, right on the bumper. I think he's got the faster truck, but I think it may be exactly what I said earlier, Peter. He's just trying not to battle side by side too much too early because he doesn't want to slow himself up for that many laps and potentially allow Philip Scott to close the gap. He's going to go to the high side now, 2 to go. And for the lead of the race, might this be the first lap all night not led by the 49 through 3 and 4? It's going to be a drag race to the line as we take the white flag. And it may continue to be side by side here on the final lap. It looks like it's going to be Adams by just a hair. He's led 124 laps tonight. Can he lead the one that counts? Lap 125, still door to door. Through 1 and 2, down the back straightaway. It's the 8 with the run, but a little bit of a side draft's going to stall that momentum out. You see the 49 now pulling right back up to the nose through the final set of corners for the final time. The 49 has to breathe the throttle. It's going to be contact, passenger door to driver's side door. The number 8 has the advantage now, but the shorter way around the track for the 49, and it is Scott Crump winning the championship and the race, and a devastated Mitchell Adams leading all but one lap tonight.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if maybe Mitchell Adams didn't lead a couple of laps, or it might not have led every lap, but the only laps he wouldn't have led would be one string pit cycles and the very last one. Scott Crump going to victory lane and going to get to do double donuts here tonight with the series championship. Philip Scott coming up behind him in the number 99. Oh boy, that was some hard racing here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway for sure. They keep us on our toes, Andre, to the very final lap of the championship. These NSRA drivers, they do that time and time again here on 3 Wide TV. That's why it is one of the best leagues that I've ever seen race out here, keeping it clean. 2 caution flags here tonight, Andre. Wild night at the 1.5 Charlotte Motor Speedway.
I said earlier it would be odd if this race ended in a non-dramatic fashion, if it just ended very casually and nonchalant, because that's just not the way the season's been. It seems like no matter what, you kind of alluded that it's almost like these races are scripted. These guys, it seems like no matter what the actual race is like, once it comes down to the end, something crazy happens. The finishes are always really close and really exciting. And tonight was no different. We had a lot of separation in the field. Not too many drivers registered for the race, and for the most part it was single file. Then all of a sudden, a light switch got flipped, and this race got the exciting end that the season deserved. And these guys, like you said, they kept it clean. It was close, it was exciting, but we didn't see drivers beating the snot out of each other and wrecking each other for the win. It was very respectful out on track, as it has been all year. And I do hope these guys, figure something out with the schedule, and that we get to continue on in some form or fashion, because, like you said, it is one of the best leagues on iRacing. I think it's highly underrated. I think if we could just get some more eyes on it, people would see that this is a place to come race or to come watch your races, because it is just so much fun. And a celebratory drift from our championship winner, Scott Crump, just sliding through 1 and 2 like Takumi Fujiwara, burning it down to the ground.
Yeah, sorry about that, Andre, in the middle of a coughing fit. But yeah, everything you said, it is a great league, and we're looking forward to broadcasting more NSRA races here on the channel with these drivers. But we do have some post-race interviews lined up. We'll get to talk to Jimbo Casterline as well. Hopefully he can maybe shed some light on things in the future as Scott Crump. Oh, there you go. There's an invisible wall there, Scott. Can't go past that one. And he's going to try again. Nope, he's not going to try again. I thought he was going to try. Now he's going to throw it in reverse. Do a lap of the road course there, Scott. I can guarantee it's solid. Now, that'd be kind of cool if they could go do donuts on the inside of the racetrack, Andre. Just, give the fans up close experience.
That's what we need. We need a free roam racing sim. Drive anywhere you want. Unfortunately, iRacing, in an effort to save on a little bit of hardware, not everything's rendered, understandably.
Yeah, you fall into the pit, a giant pit of despair, and then you end up in your pit box.
Or sometimes the pit of despair actually ejects you. I know at some tracks, if you dip your tires off into the pit, it just kind of launches you skyward. That's always fun.
Yeah, that is always fun. It really depends on the track. But we do have some post-race interviews lined up for everyone at home. The first of which will be tonight's third place finisher. And of course, the driver who going to come home second in the point standings, or at least the tally. That, of course, being the number 99 machine of Philip Scott. Let's see if we can drag Philip up here into the booth. Number 99, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, it was a long, thrilling battle all the way to the checkered flag here tonight. A little bit of strategy playing out different ways, and some caution flags coming out at inopportune times. I think, if you look back at the race, that caution flag kind of threw a wrench in things with about 25 laps to go, but it sure made it exciting for all the fans back home. Kind of talk us through your night in the World Ninja League machine.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. From the start, it was just mano a mano between me and Mitchell. I suspected, and I was right, that Scott was, because tires were at a premium here. We only got 3 sets, so he was really saving his stuff that first run. But I figured there was a good chance for it to go green to the end, so I just went with pitting for tires and hopefully having enough of a gap to Scott by the end of the first stint after the stage. I did get a pretty good gap. I think I got like 6 seconds, but he's so good on the long run. And started even out there near the end a little bit, but then I knew that if he pit before me, I was screwed. So I tried to take the initiative. And then thankfully the caution didn't come out until after we all cycled through. It actually would have been a bummer if it was later on in the race, because then he had an extra set. Ideally, I wish I would have. What was I going to say? Yeah, ideally, I wish that. Sorry. Ideally, I wish that I would have been able to go to the end. But it is what it is. That's how racing is. I think it would have been a fantastic race otherwise. Either way, I just really liked that race. That was a lot of fun. I'm pretty worn out, honestly, so yeah.
Well, that is what the NSRA is all about, and time again, races that get decided in the final 20 laps, or different strategies playing out, catching us off guard, and keeping us all on our toes. That's what makes it fun as a commentator, and I'm sure out there as a driver. Hope to see more NSRA races here going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially the past 2 weeks I think me and Crump have really given some good advertisements for the league. At the start of the season, Crump was really just in his own class, dominating. But he's such a good driver. He really earned this championship. I'm definitely not quite near his level yet, but I really like to be able to race with him because he definitely pushes me to make me better.
Absolutely, and that is what makes sim racing and really racing in general. If you've got that fire underneath you to continue to get better, you will, and it makes it fun time and time again. Before I let you go, Philip, any shout-outs you like to give out?
Yeah, shout out to everyone here at the NSRA, from you guys in the booth to Justin White and Jimbo. This is a really good league we got going. Hopefully we can get it running again later on this summer in a new night. because we definitely have a lot of really quality drivers. It's just a matter of everybody being able to race. I'm usually at home anyway, so any night is fine by me. So yeah, looking forward to the next season. And
Absolutely.
of course, World Ninja League.
Yeah, World Ninja League, got to throw them in right there at the end. Philip, congratulations on really becoming runner-up in the championship, but also finishing third here tonight in what was a very spirited race. And we hope to see you again here soon in the NSRA.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll let the number 3 of Philip Scott recoup a little bit. Andre, it sounds like he was pretty wore out. Let's talk to Mitchell Adams, who's tonight's runner-up. I'm sure he's pretty wore out, too.
Mitchell Adams, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, Mitchell, you had the dominant truck out there tonight. You led so many laps, and it came down to a last lap shootout, door to door. It was a blast to watch, but how was it behind the wheel?
I had a fantastic truck tonight. I didn't expect to have the speed I did. Charlotte's always been a good track for me. Showed a lot of long run pace I haven't had every other race I've started in my part-time schedule this season, and really good. Thought maybe I had it there without that caution. Scott was really fast, so I don't know if I would have, but came down to that final restart. I was holding it back there, and I did everything I could. Just he pinched me down just like he needed to in 3 and 4, and I got tight, started to get into him, and I knew I couldn't put him into the wall, or I didn't want to make contact and take him out of a championship potentially, so I had to let up there at the end. And a big shout out to him. He's been phenomenal all season long, a very well-deserving championship for him.
Definitely, it has been a good season for him, but a very solid night for you. And like you said, the battle at the end, you both kept it clean. How stressful was that? Going too wide. Charlotte's not necessarily the most wide 1.5 miles on the circuit. So were you at all kind of worried about making some contact and getting interfered with the championship battle?
That's something that's weighing on the back of your mind the whole time, not just there at the end. But no, I knew I had a truck that would stick wherever I put it, and it did until that final corner. So no, Scott's a great racer. I knew he'd keep it out of me, and I knew I had a car I didn't need to worry about getting into him with either.
I like it. I like the confidence. Well, again, congratulations on a podium finish, and thanks for putting on such a fun show for us up in the booth. Is there any shout-outs you'd like to make?
Yeah, first of all, thank you to you guys for broadcasting the races, and a big thank you to Jimbo and Justin and NSRA and all they've done this season. I know it's ending a little bit earlier than they wanted, but it's always a ton of fun to race with NSRA. If you're out there, you totally should come run. We always have a blast. It's a great group of drivers. Also want to give a shout out to Radcliffe Reviews. They were the title sponsor on the car here tonight. You can check them out, radcliffereviews.com. I was happy my friend Will got into the race tonight, and he finished 7th. So all in all, it was a good night. Just a little bit short for me, but I'll leave it to Scott. I know he's going to have a fun interview here coming up.
That he is. Well, thank you for your time, Mitchell, and hopefully we catch you again next season. So that is second place out of the booth, and I'm going to give the championship winner over to Peter Short.
Yeah, I'm down here in Victory Lane with Scott Crump, tonight's winner and series champion. Scott, you've had a lot of pace so far this season, and here tonight, it was not looking like you'd end up in Victory Lane. Your strategy was not really working out the way you had hoped it was going to, but a caution flag with 25 laps left really changed the game and set you on the path to go to Victory Lane. So kind of talk us through your night, talk us through those opening 20 laps when you were really saving your tires, and then when you hit that loud pedal and really started to go for it.
Well, I had a race, it was another 1.5 miles earlier this year that I dominated, where I took tires after the stage break, and everybody else stayed out on their old tires, and caution flew. And it just pretty much gave me no chance at all at the end of the race. So I figured I'd try the opposite strategy tonight, save real hard the first 20 laps, and then don't take tires, that stage caution, stay as close as I can. I was running down Phillip. I don't think I would have got to Mitchell there, but I think I could have got to Phillip for second. if it just stayed green. I knocked off 4 seconds or so to the last run before, and I was about 3.5 seconds behind him. So, all in all, it definitely would have been close if it stayed green. So I'd like to see how it would have played out. But went with the opposite strategy tonight. Try not to lead all the laps, just try and lead the last one.
Well, like so many NSRA races that we have seen here on 3Y TV before, it came all the way down to the final 5 laps and kept us on our toes, kept us excited. You were mowing down lap time on Mitchell, and then eventually you were able to get around him. What do you think you learned from the battle with Philip Scott that you were able to then translate into the battle for the win?
Well, I pitted a lap after Philip did, so I had a little bit of tire advantage of him. So I knew he was going to try and push hard to try and stay in front of me. So I just knew if he pushed hard for 5-10 laps, I was going to have the tire advantage after with about 10 laps to go or so. I should just blow right on by him because he just worn out his right front so bad trying to stay in front of me. But yeah, I didn't think I was going to get back to Mitchell there at the end, and then I got a couple good runs and got to him or whatever, and he threw a couple blocks there, so I just stuck it to the outside. It stuck just enough, and I just need to stay on his outside, which I did, and beat him back to the line there at the checkers.
Well, definitely going out the series champion in style. And you've had highs this season, you've had lows this season. Kind of highlight to all the fans watching the highs and lows that you have had this season. You've had really good moments and then moments where you wish you had back.
I mean, all in all, it's putting a pretty good year. A lot of strong races, a lot of laps led. I think the competition kept getting stronger and stronger each week. So, yeah, I mean, they definitely were giving me a run for my money the last few races. So, got to hand it to them. They definitely stepped up these last few races and didn't make it easy.
Well, that is what we like to see here on 3YT. We don't ever like to see it easy for one driver. We like to see tough, hard, close racing and a little bit of beating and banging. There was a little bit of contact there on that final lap coming out of turn number 4 between you and Mitchell Adams. I don't think you could have scripted the championship race any better than that. But Scott, any final thoughts on the season? And I know you probably got some people to give a shout out to.
Yeah, hopefully we can get this series back going again. Hopefully we can get some more people joining in. There's some great racing this year, some excellent racing. The road courses were fun. Yeah, I'll get a shout out to Jimbo for sponsoring me with Stay Tuned Sports Podcast. Get a shout out to 3Y TV up in the booth. Y'all do an excellent job up there, and glad we can put on a show for the last 20 or so laps there, and looked like it was exciting from my seat, so I'm pretty sure it was exciting on the broadcast there. And also give a shout out to my grandfather watching.
Absolutely. Got to give a shout out to those family members as they tune in here to the channel. We really do appreciate everyone tuning into the channel, and we appreciate the kind words, Scott. Congratulations, and yeah, we hope to see more NSRA here back on the channel here pretty soon.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
All right, well, folks, that is it for our series champion, Scott Crump. Now, we do want to have a quick word with Jimbo. We'll see if we can get Jimbo up here into the 3Y TV booth. Jimbo, Stay Tuned Sports. All in all, Jimbo, you beat Garrett here tonight. So, advantage Jimbo in that tally.
You know what? Totally forgot about that. I mean, I saw he wasn't having the greatest night, but my whole plan was just not to hit the wall like the past 2 weeks and screw up my race.
Well, if you do that every week, I think you got Garrett Gleason beat every week. I mean, the guy finished second to last here tonight. Anyway, jumping off of that topic, NSRA, I think it might take a little bit of time to sort everything out, but we have an agreement in place to continue broadcasting here on 3Y TV with more action in the future. And if tonight's race has any indication of what's left to be seen out of these drivers, folks, you're going to want to stay subscribed to 3 Wide TV.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if there's one thing about this league that I could beat a dead horse with, is just the clean competitive racing and the good attitudes that come into here. The friendliness. I mean, I'm going on a year and a half-ish now of driving, and all these guys from, Philip Scott, Tristan Maurer, Justin White, Scott Crump, all of them helping me out with questions and things like that.
Well, hopefully we can figure out exactly what the plan is going forward. I know iRacing has the Gen 4 NASCAR now. It's got a couple more options since really the last time the league had a reset to try to do something new, and I'm looking forward to being a part of that. But hey, got to give a shout out to Stay Tuned Sports. You just got your first big sponsorship deal, and you got podcasts coming out each and every week, and maybe the Flyers didn't make it to the playoffs. Stars did, just saying. But nonetheless, tell us about what you got going on with the podcast and all the good news that you have.
Yeah, some behind the scenes stuff, still working out, but if it goes through, it's probably one of the biggest things to happen to the podcast. Me and my buddy King doing our episodes every week. And as far as the league, there's gonna be no wait for me. Starting tomorrow, I'm gonna start hammering out some ideas to help get this league back to where it was. Get the car counts back up. So if anybody's watching that is interested in racing, hit us up on Facebook and send a message, and we'll get you guys hooked up to join our Discord and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if you're interested in in being a part of the National Sim Racing Association yourself, let us know here on 3Y TV. Leave a comment below, and we can, of course, give you the Discord link as well. So, if you're interested, you got many avenues to reach out. But Jimbo, any final thoughts on the season before we call it wraps?
Yeah, I mean, tonight's race, thank you to all the guys that did come out. Definitely was a very good race. I mean, I'm going to go back and watch the feed. Obviously, I'm not the best to be out there yet, so I don't know how good the competition was up front, but it sounded like it was pretty good, and a lot of clean racing too. So I'm glad it didn't come down to the championship drivers getting wrecked out or something like that. And so congrats to Scott Crump, Philip Scott, Tristan Maurer, and Vincent Balvano for having a shot at the championship. So I'm excited for next season too. I mean, we're not going anywhere. We're gonna have something going on, and I think it's gonna be an exciting season.
That it is. Looking forward to it. And we'll have those races here on 3 Wide TV. Well, Jimbo, we'll talk to you again soon. Best of luck there, buddy, and looking forward on what's to come.
Sounds good. Go Eagles.
All right. Well, just has to throw in the Go Eagles in front of the Cowboys fan face. But, hey, it is what it is. We appreciate Jimbo and Stay Tuned Sports. That is for sure. Andre, I think it's about that time where we have about one thing left to do, and that's bring up tonight's final race results so everyone at home can figure out where their favorite driver ended up.
Of course, Scott Crump taking the win and the championship, doubling down, having the best night he could possibly have in first place. Mitchell Adams, disappointing second place finish, but a great run nonetheless. Philip Scott is going to bring it home on the podium. Jason Shu with an impressive fourth place finish, kept the truck clean all night, got a top 5 as a result. Vinny Valvano, he was a lap down not long before the end of the race, got the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award, but then unfortunately could not navigate the traffic. He finishes 5th. Jimbo Casterline, P6 in the top half of the field. Then we got Johnny Williams, William Ratcliffe, Paul Bilson bringing out the late race caution that led to the exciting finish. He finishes 9th. Stephen Lashinsky, P10. Tristan Maher, 17th after retiring a little bit early. Garrett Gleason in 12th. And Matt Cherry is going to round out the field. 115 laps back. We're not going to forget him in 13th.
Yeah, and still not sure what happened to Matt Cherry. Maybe we'll find out a little bit more as the week goes on. But nonetheless, folks, it has been absolutely awesome to have Stay Tuned Sports on board for the truck series. We'll wait and see. Maybe it won't be trucks. Maybe it will be trucks. Maybe it'll be a different night. Maybe Thursday night. We'll wait and see. And, of course, we'll keep everyone in the 3Wide TV fold aware of what's going on. So looking forward to have these drivers back on the channel here as soon as possible. Of course, summer schedule's coming up. A lot going on, but nonetheless, the one thing that won't change, I'm sure, Andre, will be the great quality racing.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see what they get figured out. I'm really hoping that they get back in the swing of things and that we can kind of get back to racing, because it is a very fun league to broadcast. It's a very fun league to watch, and I'm sure for the drivers on track, it's a fun league to race. So we'll see. We'll watch and wait. Like Peter said, just stay tuned to 3Wide TV, and we will keep you updated. And if anything comes across the news wire, well, we're going to let you know. And again, big shout out to Stay Tuned Sports Podcast for sponsoring the league, and Jimbo for doing what he does. And of course, having me in the booth. Thank you, Peter, and thanks to the league. And well, we'll see what tomorrow brings.
Yeah, I got my fingers crossed for some Gen 4 cars. I think those would be a lot of fun, but maybe everyone will be running Gen 4 cars at some point. I don't know, but I got my fingers crossed for that. But nonetheless, folks, thank you for tuning into 3Wide TV. Y'all are awesome. We appreciate everyone who listens and watches these broadcasts, whether you watch them live or you watch them on delay for one reason or another. We really do appreciate it. And, of course, all the family members. We love seeing all the comments in the chat that roll on throughout the races. Alicia Casterline had to give congratulations to Scott Crump, as did a lot of the other drivers in the Discord. It's a good group of people, folks, and definitely great to be a part of the 3Wide TV family, that is for sure. But for myself, Peter Short, Andre Graham Bush, and everyone else in 3Wide TV fold, folks, stay safe and all of that good stuff, and we shall see ya!